Black Lagoon over here.
Hey. Welcome back to Cover to Cover. Jesus Christ, I can't talk tonight. Tonight we got Devo's Freedom of Choice. Pretty classic album with their big hit, Whip It. Christ, I'm very ill prepared because I don't even have my freaking thing up tonight.
OMG.
My God. Suck. This is their third album. Not a lot of people know this about Devo, but they were banned for a pretty long time before Whip It came out.
Yeah, what 75 wasn't it?
72.
I believe so.
I think they initially got together in 72, right?
Yeah. They were kicking around the club circuit for a couple years before they even made a first album.
I learned something interesting I didn't know about the band. Is I guess a couple of members, they used to attend Kent University.
Really?
And that was when during Vietnam when they had the Kent State massacres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were going there, and
What's up, Perry?
I guess a couple of the people that died they were friends with, so it kind of put them in a different train of thought after that point. As far as like, I guess realizing the hippie stuff didn't work, so I guess that's when they advanced to the arts and the other stuff that they would later transform into K-pop.
What's up, Katie?
Perry.
They're delicious. He just finished the show.
So I thought that was a pretty cool fun fact.
Where did you find that out?
YouTube, I believe.
It was a video about them, or
Yes.
that is pretty cool. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I knew they went to Kent State, but I didn't know they were friends with some of the people. That's pretty wild.
Four dead in Ohio.
In Ohio.
That was pretty surprising to learn they were from Ohio. I did not know that.
Where did you think they were from?
I always thought they were from New York.
Why?
Yeah, like
The artsy,
the
fartsy.
artsy stuff, like Television and Suicide was going on when Devo was coming out. I
thought they were from another planet myself.
Yeah.
You and everybody else.
Yeah.
That was kind of the aesthetic that they went with and that they went for, and I guess they probably heavily influenced by certain other people like Warhol and so forth. Warhol was kind of a
That's what I was thinking when he said New York, and Warhol's not from New York either. Warhol's from the Midwest.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where, but it's funny. Those people, it's people that go to New York and then become famous.
Yeah. Well, you think about the LA bands in the 80s. A lot of them weren't from that area. That was Cinderella was from Philadelphia.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You think
half of Poison was from Mechanicsburg?
I'm pretty sure most of the Dead Kennedys were at like Colorado or something.
Yeah. Yep.
You think Devo collected comics? The members of Devo collected comics?
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
It's a good bet, right?
It's a very good bet.
They were all
But which ones do you think?
Maybe Crumb comics. You know, those underground comics. That's maybe what they were into. Marvel and and all this shit. You could see them being like Ninja Turtle fans if Ninja Turtle fans were back then, stuff like that.
I'd never had any prior experience with Devo except the Whip It song before this.
Me neither.
And as a youngster, where I was musically, I'm a lot different now. And just their appearance turned me off back then. It's like, what a bunch of weirdos. What a bunch of nerdy weirdos.
I agree. I was like that. This was their only hit, and
I assumed before listening to this album that everything they did was like Whip It, and I was wrong.
Yeah,
just from this album, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even. I hear Whip It all the time on the radio, but I never put two and two together that it was Devo until like past couple months, but before we picked the album. So I'm brand new from this because I always knew that the hat and the song, but never
put them together.
Have you ever heard of Devo?
Yeah.
Oh, you had? Okay.
I didn't know.
He just didn't know who they were. He heard of them, but never heard of the.
Yeah, Devo and the hats, and that's famous, and like the fashion, but not the music.
Music, yeah.
It's an incredible big deal. It's incredible what a big deal those freaking pots were, because that was like signature. It was like you would think put a pot on your head and it would work, but it worked for them. It went with them, and it was part of their thing, man. It still is. Everybody knows it. So,
yeah, I just seen recently they opened up the Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas, and they have in one of the displays there. They have the mold, the mold that made those. They have there, which I thought was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
You okay?
Yeah.
You sit your eye out, kid.
So yeah, this album was released in 1980, which was approximately a year and a few months before my birth.
May 14th.
Oh wow! I was right before I turned 11.
Yeah, you were graduating high school, weren't you?
I was turning 11. I was turning 11. I was in 5th grade. I think. 6 or whatever.
I wasn't even born yet.
According to this, Whip It, their biggest hit number 8 and number 14 on the Billboard charts, which I just heard a interesting story about this album. I think it was the producer or the record company, because their first 2 albums were kind of like totally different from what this was, that they told him like, look, you need to get a hit or we're basically going to drop you. And so they made the first song or the first hit that they were, or the single was, I guess it was going to be The Girl You Want.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it didn't do too good.
Girl You Want, that was what the record company thought that it was going to be.
Right.
But the band thought Freedom of Choice was going to be the big hit. And none of them expected.
Yeah, so there was like some, I forget who he was. Forgive me for not remembering. I don't know if he was a DJ or if he was, I don't know. But anyways, he started playing just off by himself. He started playing Whip It on the radio. And then it slowly just grew from state to state to state until the whole Northeast was kind of like popular with Whip It. And they were on tour at the time. So like halfway through the tour, they had to reconfigure their tour because they were becoming like huge. So they were playing these little clubs. So then they had to basically change from playing these little clubs to, playing like 3,000, people size rooms, you know.
This also
So
this
the Whip It, basically the Whip It hit was basically by accident because of this other
Mhm.
this DJ or this other guy that just started playing it, and that's how it went off. It got set off, wildfire.
I would think MTV had a big thing to do with their success too, right? Because that was right around the beginning of MTV. So I remember.
Yeah. Well, MTV didn't come till 81.
So it was a full year.
Hey, me and MTV have the same birthday. I
Really?
was born on the same day MTV aired.
Nice. Da, da, da. And video killed the video. No, radio. No, video killed the radio.
Killed the radio star.
So I don't know when the video actually came out in comparison to the album in 80 because
from what I heard,
it had to at least be a year or more.
They were making their own music videos and just screening them at their concerts for the people to watch, and they play along with them. Which, before MTV, the thought of anyone making music videos is weird unless it was for like a movie or something. Just to do for a show is unusual.
Yeah, so they were a little ahead of the game when it come to the music videos because they were doing that type of stuff. And
Most of the time, it was
college
concert footage.
Yeah.
Those are artistic. They were artistic.
Well, this album was a lot. This synthesizer was a lot more heavy on it than what they had done on the first two albums.
Yes, I believe this album was the first album that they did with it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right. And this was one of the early albums to have it in it.
What do you consider this? New wave?
New wave. I would say new wave.
Yeah.
And
I'm split 50-50 with new wave and art punk. That's my, because it isn't quite avant-garde punk because that's like,
but I would consider
too
new
far
wave
out there.
New wave a different genre of punk.
There's
like the B-52s or
I don't like when people call Devo post punk because it's so different from like Joy Division and stuff.
Yeah, no, I would not associate those two together. I think more with the B-52s, definitely.
But if you look up,
Talking Heads,
post punk is the first thing that comes up.
Really, that's what comes up?
Yeah, that's what most people categorize them as.
Joy Division? Really?
Joy Division, like Suji and the Banshees and stuff like that.
Oh no, they're nothing. I wouldn't.
Wikipedia considers them new wave or synth pop.
Okay.
Huh? But they're like on one whole end, right? They're not close. They're like way, almost like their own thing. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. At least the pioneers of it, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I felt like, I don't know if it was maybe the production that was. I felt a slight Cars vibe.
Oh yeah.
In a couple of the songs.
Mm-hmm. The Cars are still more to the middle. They're like all the way on the side.
Yeah.
They're
which
just
is where they. Well, I think that's where they wanted to be anyway.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you look at Mark Mothersbaugh, he went into production of similar artists. So I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway. Speaking of producers, the Robert Margouleff, he produced 4 of Stevie Wonder's biggest records of the early 70s. Wow. So they had some power in the booth. working for him. He also worked with Jeff Beck and Robin Trower and the Isley Brothers, so they had a good producer working on the record. Robert Margouleff. Recorded between October '79 and early 1980 at the record plant. So not only did they have a good producer, but they were in a great studio.
So it sounds like they got what the help that they needed, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to make consistent. They thought they could do it.
Which I would say the sound in this album is absolutely awesome. It sounded the sounds and everything is like perfect. So it was well recorded for sure.
Wait, well, do you think that's because they were so electronic that it sounded so good? Because of that,
Possibly.
because it was basically all on computers, right? Because isn't their drums electric drums? Isn't everything?
Yeah, I'm sure most of it they were able to just plug right into the equipment and get it straight to the tape instead of messing with microphones.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm to me, even by today's standards, it sounded super good.
It's crisp.
Yeah. Considering it's 43 years old.
Thank you.
I dug it. I liked it. Cat's out of the bag.
You happy you picked this album?
I'm very happy, yeah.
Me too.
Yes, this is one I was most excited for.
Of all the albums that we had, this is the one. Really?
Well, I mean, the reason why I picked this one was because I was curious, I was more curious now than I've ever been to listen to Devo.
Why do you think that is?
Just mature, music wise, I've matured. I've widened my horizons musically, with my taste in music and stuff like that. A little more open. When I was younger, a little more closed-minded on certain things.
Okay.
That's why I can't believe it took me this long to get around to this album, because I started getting more open-minded towards music earlier. And I don't know why I never. I guess like you said earlier, Jim, about the song. It's like that's got to be it. That's got to be all they have in their repertoire.
And you think and you stereotype that one song with probably everything that they ever made or make, So you think it all sounds the exact same, and that's
it's like why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that like the definition of what happens to these one-hit wonders? You think that one hit is all they got.
But what's sad and mind-blowing to me is, yes, they still have a legacy that they left behind, and it wasn't just because of the one hit. It was because of what they made, what they created, they left a footprint in the music. And I think that's why people still talk about them more, or not just because of the one hit. Because, I mean, after listening to this album, there's no reason why they shouldn't have had more hits off this album.
Oh, I agree.
Like I said, I'm going to jump ahead and I'm just going to say it. this is probably one of my top favorite albums now.
Wow.
This album blew
That's
my
saying
fucking
something.
this album blew my fucking hat right off my head.
Wow.
I loved it.
Dude, I am so proud of you, bro. That's
Dude,
awesome, dude.
I am going at some point. I am going to get this album in vinyl and put it in my collection because
Worth it.
Mm-hmm. Dude, bro, that's awesome, dude, because this is totally out of your wheelhouse. And that's awesome for you to say something like that. That's great, man.
I was joking with my wife, I said, I just found my new favorite band. I ain't shitting. I'm not even shitting, man. This is like, I'm in love with Devo now. I ain't kidding, man. I fucking love this album.
Dude, that is awesome, man. That's freaking
Pardon the language. I'm just excited. Like I like been trying to like bottle it in all week long and not just say, I love this band. This album's great.
I kind of felt slightly that way about the last album, the Raw Bass album.
Okay.
To me it was really freaking good. This album was really freaking better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You remember, you guys remember how I felt about the Dylan's Highway 61?
I'm there with you, bro.
Dude,
that album still.
When I first heard that album, that's exactly when I listened to this album. That's exactly how I felt, and then some. Because I can put this album on repeat, and I could put it in on the playlist,
Wow. Dude, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
And so now I'm gonna be, venturing out to check out some of their other stuff.
To be walking into Walmart and Walgreens with his red bucket hat on.
I'm like, I gotta get me a flower pot hat now.
Oh, I gotta see that, dude. I gotta see that.
I know we're jumping ahead. I know there's so many more facts we got to talk about, but I just couldn't hold it any longer.
I'm so happy for you. It's like you ate something for a flavor, something for the first time, and it just blows. Yeah. But it was music, and
like an exotic fruit,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't believe this existed, and I just got to it now. It's like, oh my god.
And I felt ashamed, like I've missed out. I missed out on this for so long.
I can't believe we're referring to Devo as an exotic fruit.
Yeah, fruit from Mars.
I'm happy for
That's
you.
Wonderful.
I'm happy for you because I grew up with them, dude. So it's not like, for me, it's not quite that because I've already had that taste of Devo. I know them. But to see you and love them that much, I'm not trying to exaggerate or make more of it, but it's an awesome thing when that happens, man. It's really good.
And that is the best. Having that is the best thing about this show, because I probably would never have even listened to it if it wasn't on something we picked or had to do on this show. So, my hat's off to you, Donald, for having this show.
Yeah, bro. And I'm glad we're getting further out into different things,
Yeah. So I caught this album in time.
Good. That's great. That's great, bro.
So let's get back to the facts.
Let's
do it. I'm gonna get a Devo tattoo.
Oh my goodness, I gotta see that.
Let's get a flower pot hat tattoo.
Flower pot.
Funnily enough, I think my buddy that does tattoos, I want to say he did something like that recently.
Really?
I'm not positive. If he catches this on the rewind, he may message me and say, "Hey, I didn't," but I just feel like I saw tattoo come up in the feed recently that was one of the flower pot hats. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fred. I like the little thing about the lyrics to Whip It were basically like a silent chuckle at Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
It just it denotes, you know, some of the political atmosphere at the time, whether it be Ford, Carter, Reagan, you know, any of those. These bands were given plenty of material to work with.
Yeah. But at the same time, I heard in an interview that they asked him what is Whip It about, you know, because there was mentions of like masturbation, there was mentions of like S&M, there's all these different mentions of stuff, and he said that they would go from city to city and they had to have to do these interviews, and then like they would say, well, what's this about? What's it about? And he would always agree with it. Then it just created its own thing, you know. But I guess that's the first I heard about that is the Jimmy Carter, because
it almost seems like it's like a Pulp Fiction briefcase where it's just whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
That's a perfect way to put it, man.
Well,
because everything that we mentioned, it's like I don't even get from that song. I mean, they're talking about whipping cream and doing. Wow.
I guess rewinding back to it being an unexpected hit. It's funny the number of songs that are like that you think about, like Sweet Home Alabama was started out as a joke, and it became one of Skinner's biggest hits.
Yeah.
You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet from Bachman Turner Overdrive. That was a tongue-in-cheek joke on one of the band members.
Yeah, because he stuttered.
Had a stuttering problem.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
you know, and it's the unexpected hits, you know. So it's like,
and it was massive.
Yeah, most of them don't have any real meaning.
Yeah, I'm surprised this song only made it to 8. I swear, I thought it was the #1 hit because it was everywhere, man. It was constantly on the radio.
First of all, I need to know, and please tell me, was this album on the top 100 albums of all time on the Rolling Stone? Because if not, it should be.
I don't believe so, but
I don't think so. Because I did that whole list, and it wasn't.
Wow, that's a shame.
No, because I would have heard it, but now unless it could be on it now, because they have updated it since I started that list. The list that I started working through was from like 2005, I think.
Who do you think's in charge of taking out a greatest album, top album of all time, and replacing it with something else?
I'm sure it's a committee. I don't see one person.
It's probably the same jackasses that don't know how to put people in the Hall of Fame that should be in there.
Probably.
So we've already been through that. Let's not get started on it.
The Hall of Fame is a joke.
It is. I recently looked at the nominees this year, and it's like,
oh no, I don't even want to know.
It's not looking too hot.
I don't want to know.
No Iron Maiden yet. No,
probably fucking Katy Perry or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Who? What did you say?
Don't make me repeat it.
What did you say? I didn't hear who you said.
Katy Perry.
Some stupid shit like that.
Let's see.
Taylor Swift.
Kenny G.
I would accept Kenny G.
What's the other guy? Michael Bolton. Is he in? He might be in there already, Don.
No,
might
he's
be.
not.
Dolly Parton is.
Yeah, Dolly Parton is. Anyway, we're
Back
we're
to-
talking about
yeah.
Devo. We're not talking about that shit.
We'll have-
So this peak I might be jumping ahead if I am, sorry, but this peak 22 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 8 on the Billboard Dance Club song charts.
Mm-hmm.
And this album was awarded platinum status on May 13th, 1986, which is what, approximately 6 years to the day.
Yep.
Interesting.
I can't wait to hear what the favorite songs and the worst songs are on this album. I can't wait till we get to that. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. You know what I thought was interesting? The idea behind the Whip It video, I thought was interesting. That they got it from like a gentleman's magazine. I read it. I don't have it in front of me now, but they got it from a short story from a. What was the name of
Oh,
the
I
magazine?
also heard about the Whip It. They were asked, how did you get the whip sound? Because I guess Kenny Loggins and somebody else for one of their albums for a soundtrack or something. No, a song that Kenny Loggins and somebody else did. They had got the guy that was in charge of the whip on the Indiana Jones movies to like record it, I guess. But Devo did it by just making sounds with their recording equipment. The
Really?
tape with the tapes and stuff, and then they played it in reverse. So it sounds like it's being sucked out. And that gave it that
Interesting. I did not know that.
So
That's
cool.
they did something.
Ingenuity.
Yeah, they did something, and then they played it in reverse, and then that's what gave it the whip sound, which I thought was pretty interesting
It is interesting.
and creative. Bands like that would take the time to try to, do the Paul McCartney, John Lennon way of making sounds, and even Beastie Boys, messed around with their sound equipment and got certain sounds. And
It's amazing to me, all the shit they come up with, the imagination, all these artists. It's just incredible. I wish I had that. I appreciate it. I know I don't have that.
And also, I had seen that the name Devo comes from de-evolution,
Evolution.
in case anybody wondered.
Hmm.
What's the album on this album cover? What's the album cover on this album? What's it look like, Donnie? Yeah, you need to leave that up. We are not men, we are Devo.
Man,
My chair keeps closing down.
I moved, the chair comes into play.
We are not men, we are upright. Freedom of choice.
I think this is an all-time album cover. If it ain't on any kind of best record list, it for sure got to be on an album cover list.
Man, I don't think they get the respect, honestly. I don't think they do.
I can only imagine how many people didn't buy this album just by the album cover and what these guys look like.
Yeah.
They look cool.
This is kind of like Trans Europe Express. I don't know if you guys know what Trans Europe Express is. I guess they were more
Yeah,
like
Yeah, they look like something out of Germany, like
Germany, right?
the autobahns.
Yeah. There should be like a little. There should be like a monkey, one of their soldiers. You know, this is my little monkey. This is my pet monkey, and it's right on right, like
This
sitting
is
right.
Hans. This is Franz. Yeah,
Franz, yeah.
we're here to make music.
My little, my little Sprockets. Sprockets from Saturday Night Live. Yeah, Michael Myers. This is my little monkey.
Kraftwerk is the band I was thinking.
Kraftwerk, not Trans Europe. Yes, it's Kraftwerk.
I think that was one of their albums. Trans Europe.
That's an album. Yeah, yeah. Kraftwerk.
They're definitely standing like they're some sort of like androids, you know, like
I always
nano, you know, like an alien, you know.
I always think
Working.
when I see this, I always think they act like the Coneheads. Like
Yeah.
that's the way they act.
Yeah.
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 We come from France.
Yeah.
We come from Germany.
We come from Germany. Yeah, it's very interesting because they have the American flags on the side. Goes with the freedom of choice.
They all look like they're 3 foot nothing.
Yeah, it's
They do kind of look like they're kind of crouching down, don't they? Not just standing there.
I think it's just the picture. It's just like
Okay.
pulled down further.
yeah. The photographer was on a ladder, and he's like,
Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's like an
"Give me that
above
stiff
shot.
look. Give me that stiff look."
They're probably laying on the ground, and they just stood above them and took the picture.
You guys remember the movie 16 Candles?
Yeah.
This is the nerds with Michael Anthony Hall that they're trying to show the panties. These are the guys that want to see the panties in the bathroom, bro. That's who these guys are. They're all us. They're comic book nerds. I'm sure they collect comics. They're just
Or it's Revenge of the Nerds.
or it's Revenge of the Nerds. Exactly. That's exactly who they. Dude, it took balls to do what they did, man. Because this was so far out there that it's awesome. They stuck to it, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, that. Well, I think it's. Is it the Whip It video? No, it's not the Whip It video. Maybe it's the Girl You Want video, with the square sunglasses and the plastic suits, and they're playing their instruments, and they're like all stiff motions and shit.
The freedom of choice video. That's when they're actually cosplaying the Coneheads.
Yeah.
They got the goggles and the big latex masks on.
Awesome. What are your favorite songs? I'm dying to hear. And what's your worst song?
I don't have a worse song. Is that possible?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that's possible.
And
You've been totally converted.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all. This album's all killer, no filler.
Another great album.
One of the songs that I really, really enjoy, though, is Gates of Steel. That would probably be one of my top songs, and Girl You Want. But Gates of Steel I like a lot. And the funny thing is, when I heard Gates of Steel for the first time, it kind of reminded me of the London Oi band Cocksparrow. They had that same similar sound.
My favorite is Girl You Want. That's my favorite.
That's a great opening song.
Oh my God, they couldn't have picked a
opening
better
song.
opener.
It's a great freaking song, dude.
The hook at the beginning of that fucking song is amazing.
Absolutely.
And I got duped. I tried to listen to it the one day, and somebody had done just that first 10 seconds of that guitar hook in a half an hour loop, like a 30-minute loop, and I'm like, why is the chord not changing?
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't the way it sounded the first time I listened to it. So watch out for that.
Hey, see what Dave said? That's spot on. If they did a Devo movie, he could definitely play as Mart. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Totally.
And Tom's probably at the right age right now to where they could if they.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty perfect. Me personally, I think least favorite. I'm not right. I don't. It's kind of a weaker one, and I don't like Freedom of Choice. I don't like the self-titled song.
Oh, I like Freedom of Choice. I like Freedom of Choice. I think they had the 3 hits: Freedom of Choice, Girl You Want, and Whip It. I think those were the 3 best.
I do. I think my 3 favorites. Girl You Want is great, and I really like Cold War and Snowball.
Snowball, man, they're all so good, man. Ton of Love.
Dude, I hate Snowball, bro. God, Snowball.
Don't you know? Don't you know is a good one.
I need
Gates
need
of Steel though, man, is badass.
I need to listen to just side 2 because I need to focus more onto it because for some reason I get to Freedom of Choice and then my mind just goes somewhere else, even though I'm still listening to it.
The thing with Gates of Steel, it's like if you're listening to that, mentally, if you didn't know who was singing, I guarantee you nobody would guess Devo. Because when you think of Devo, Gates of Steel ain't something you would think
it's
of.
Probably the most punk rock song.
You
on
hear
the
more.
album.
I mean, you do hear more instruments in that song than I think probably any other song in the album.
Mm-hmm.
But it's solid, man. It's a great.
It's
song.
almost like a Toy Dolls song. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so happy you guys like this, man. It really makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna add this one to my collection for sure.
Mine's my favorites are probably the first 2 tracks, and for that being said, of what I said a little bit ago, the worst is I'm going to put Whip It as the worst, and that's not saying it's the worst. I've heard it enough.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's played out. Not saying it's bad, but it's played out.
But yeah,
but at the same time, I never skipped
something
it
I'm
either.
familiar with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, just think about all the commercials it's been in, man. It's been in so many commercials.
All them
How many
commercials.
How many times did you guys give this album a listen?
I've heard it 3.
Yeah, probably 3.
4 times.
I probably heard it 8 times.
Wow. We're not understating this, bro. You really freaking that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. This album just blew me away. I can't say it enough.
You just tasted something new, bro.
Fruit, exotic fruit.
Exotic Devo fruit.
I made the mistake of picking up some Cult albums, so I was sort of intermixing the Cult and Devo. Otherwise, I probably would have listened to it a couple more times.
Jeff,
which is another great band. If you've never heard of the Cult, is a good band. Anyway,
the Cult.
Yeah.
For a while there, in the early 2000s or so, that the Doors had him. They went on tour with.
Asbury. Yeah.
So we need to see a pot next show. We need to see a tattoo event, fairly soon. You need to start speaking German, even though you're from Florida.
might be able to help with that. The Lord might try it.
Devo was definitely music of nerds. And it's so good.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
Motor. This is my little motor. Oh.
All right, we got 2 albums left.
Then there were 2. Which ones are gonna be?
House of Pain or Luscious Jackson.
With my naked eye, I saw you. Luscious Jackson.
Oh, perfect. Also, Pain should be the last album.
Go out with a bang.
Yes. Also, Pain should be the last one.
All right.
All girls. Girls. Girls.
Next album, Luscious Jackson, Naked Eye.
With my naked eye, I saw him.
Ooh, somebody's been listening into it already?
No, I just remember it from the 90s.
Oh,
I was there, remember, Leo?
I was there 3,000 years ago.
have you guys heard this album?
Nope.
I
No.
never even heard of them.
You never
It's an
heard of it?
all-girl band.
I listened
heard-
to it once.
You listened to it once? All right.
Yeah. Not long after we compiled the list, I listened to it.
Hopefully you like it. We'll see.
Who picked this? You?
Yeah, I picked it. It was just something I hadn't listened to in a long time. I remember really enjoying it back in the 90s when it came out. I listened to it for a while. And I hadn't heard it in a long time. So I go, well, let's give him a shot.
Word.
All right. So go check out Devo's Freedom of Choice.
Do it.
Stellar freaking album. Astronomical album.
Change vote forever.
Forever. It'll blow your hat off, so hold on tight.
Sorry for blinding. And come join us in a couple weeks for Luscious Jackson, Naked Eye.
Do it.
Meantime, get out there and listen to some music.
Do it. Do it.